Hey soulmates, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Tekla, and in today's tutorial we are going to do the pattern drafting of this transparent corset. I'm going to try to make this tutorial as easy as possible for you to comprehend. So if this sounds like something that you like to learn, go ahead now and hit the subscribe button and let's get to class. So for this pattern, I've already gone ahead to mark out my horizontal measurements. This is just to speed up the video a little bit. So you can see my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my waist, and my full length. So these are just the measurements that I took out. And for my neck width, I'll be working with 3.5 inches. And then for my shoulder slope, I'm going to come down by 1. Then after this, my nipple to nipple measurement is 8. I'm going to divide that by 2, which is 4, and I'm going to mark it on my bust point, on my waist, under bust, and through to my pattern paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and connect that together because this is where we are going to take out our darts. For now, I went ahead to extend it to my chest line, which is what you can see me marking. Then for my darts, I am going to take 3/4 of an inch on the center part of my pattern. You can see me marking that, and on the other parts of my pattern I am going to take 1/1/4 of an inch, which is 1.25. So on the center part I took out 3/4 of an inch, on the side part I took out 1/1/4 of an inch, or 1.25. Then that is just what you can see me connecting together, and like this we have taken out the first part of our dart. So I'm going to come down by about 3/4 of an inch on my bust point, and I'm going to curve that to my under bust to meet up with that line that I already took out, and you can see me doing that already. Then from here I am going to go ahead and divide what I have left on my shoulder line by 2, and I'm going to get the midpoint. This is because we are going to do a shoulder dart for this particular corset, and then from there I'm going to slant it back to the tip of my bust point. Please take note, to the tip of my bust point, not to the tip of my chest line. So you can see what I did, and I'm going to go ahead now to shade that out so that you can know that that is our dart part. So from here I am going to determine how long I want my corset curve to be. So if your client wants your curve to be very decent, that means you are going to come up by 2 inches on your chest line. If your client wants your cup to be open, that means you are going to come down more by that. So for me, on my chest line I just came up by 1.5 inches. You can decide to do 2, you can decide to do 2.5. It depends on how high you want your cup to be, but for me 1.5 is okay. That means that I came up from my bust point by 3.5, because my chest line is already 2 inches above my bust point. So on each side of the line I came out by 3/4 of an inch on each side of that shoulder line, and I am going to try to connect it back to the tip of my bust point. You can see the way I am positioning my ruler, so I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to the tip of my bust point. Please, if you missed any point, go back and make sure you are up to speed with us. So I'm just going to connect that together so that you see what I have, and then my overbust tightening is already done. Please note that this particular thing that we did now is called overbust tightening. So guys, are you enjoying this tutorial? Please use this opportunity now to give us a thumbs up, and let's just ride on. So from here I am going to determine how wide I want my V to be. You know that particular place where your bra cup is going to meet the tip of your corset basque. That particular place I am going to determine how wide I want it to be. Maybe I'll try to put the picture of that on the screen. So from there I am now going to take a slanted line to my under bust. Remember that the V on this corset stopped at the under bust, so I'm going to mark from that particular place now to the under bust, and what I took out is about half an inch. What that means is that when I open it up, it is going to be 1 inch apart. You can also decide to do 3/4 of an inch so that when you open it up, it will be 1.5 inches apart. You can also decide to do 1 inch so that when you open it up, it will be 2 inches apart. It all depends on how wide you want it to be or how wide your client would like the corset to be. So from there, I am going to curve from the tip of that my line to that place that I took out. And remember that the place that I took out that 1/2 inch is on my bust point line. That particular place that I came in by 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch, depending on your choice, is on my bust point line. And then from there, I connected from my under bust to that tip on my bust point line. So even if you do not understand what I'm saying, please pay attention to what I'm doing on the pattern paper so that you'll be able to understand that. So you can see what I have now. So to get my side cup now, I am going to measure from that point that I came in by 1/2 an inch to my dart line, and what I had was about 3.5. I am now going to add extra 1 inch to it. The reason why I did that is that your breast on the side part is actually bigger than your breast on the center part. So I'm going to go ahead now and put that down. What I measured initially was 3.5 on the center part of my cup, and then I added extra 1 inch to it to now make it 4.5 inches, and I marked it on my bust point, and that is what I now curved back to my under bust. Please take note of the measurement so that you do not have any error in your own pattern. So right now, that curve that is above my bust point, remember where I did my overbust tightening, I'm going to go ahead to measure it accurately, just to make sure that the same thing that I have on this side is the same thing that I have on the other side. The reason why I am doing this is that I wouldn't want a situation when I'm going to join my bra cup, the thing is now going to be, one will now be longer than the other. So please remember to remeasure your line and make sure that you have exactly the same thing. Make sure that the length of this one is the length of the other one. So that particular one on the center part of my pattern paper was a little bit smaller, so I just had to adjust it to meet up with the side. This is because I don't want any particular place to be shorter than the other. So I am now going to go ahead and connect it to the tip on my bust point, and from that way we are already getting our illusion neckline. It's already coming out. So I am going to go ahead now and connect it to that place, and you can see what I have. I know sometimes people just place their ruler and then curve it down, but getting that slanted line on the bust point to the under bust line first is the best thing that you can do, because you can already see how perfect this pattern paper is coming out. So now that we have this, let's proceed. So right now, I then went ahead to mark my bust point measurements on my chest line, and I also added back the dart allowance that I took. I think it was about 1/4 of an inch. The bust I am working with is 40 divided by 4, which is 10. So what I just marked there is about 10 1/4. And then I'm going to go ahead now and take my armhole curve, and then on my bust point I already marked that 10 inches, and that is just what I slanted down. So we are going to leave it like this for now. So I am now going to go ahead and come down by 1/2 inch on my chest line, and then I went ahead to extend my cup length up to that place. Please remember that I came down by 1/2 inch on my chest line. This is so that our yoke will actually come out very well. And then I curved it to the other side of my dart leg, and I also went ahead to extend that line on my side allowance. You can see what I did. Then assuming you are doing a curved neckline for this, you just have to go ahead now and come down. I came down by about 3.5 inches, and I'm going to go ahead now and connect that together. This is assuming you are working with a round neck. But for this particular pattern, there's a particular neckline that my client wants, and that is what I'm going to do, possibly in the ending part of this video. So right now I am going to go ahead and impute my vertical measurement. The waist I am working with is 35, and for this particular corset I want to snatch by 5 inches. What that means is I want to remove 5 inches from my waist. So if you minus 5 from 35, it will now be 30. So automatically my waist is now 30 inches. Now that 30 divided by 4 is 7.5, and that is what I just marked, and then I added back the 2 inches allowance that we took out for the dart. Whatever you took out for your dart, just remember to add it back. I marked my waist, my hip line, of course, on my full length, and then I went ahead to now curve it back. So I'm going to go ahead and recap what I just said. If you want to snatch your waist, you determine how many inches you want to take out. You can take out anything between 4 to 6. For me, I decided to take out 5 inches. And then the waist I am working with is 35. So I'm just going to minus 5 inches from that 35. And what I had is 30 inches. Now that 30 inches is the waist you are going to work with. So I then went ahead to divide that 30 inches by 4, which is 7.5, and on my waistline I marked that 7.5, and then I added back the 2 inches that we took out. I also marked my hip line, and then I added back the 2 inches that we took out as well. Then on my bust point, I took my bust point dart. So I came down by 1/4 of an inch. You can come down by 1.5. Some people come down by 2.5. You should just know the one that works for you. But for me, I came down by 1/4 of an inch. That is exactly the measurement that I came down with. And I'm going to slash all through to my bust point, because I am actually going to go ahead and close that dart. So for me to close that dart, I am now going to slash through on the other dart that we first did, and this is just to enable me to be able to close that dart on my bust point line. So that is just what I just did, and I'm going to go ahead now and recurve my cup. You can see that while I closed that, something shifted there, so I just went ahead to do that. So for now, let's just do the back pattern first, and then we'll come back to the front pattern. So guys, are you enjoying this video? Please go ahead now and give us a thumbs up. And if this is your first time on my channel, please go ahead now and hit the subscribe button. And now that you have already done that, thank you very much. While I was making this video, I was down with flu, with catarrh, and that is exactly why my voice is sounding like this. So if you're finding value in this video, please go ahead now and just say thank you in the comment section. It will encourage me a whole lot, and it will also help me to know that my video is impacting somebody. So just give me a thank you in the comments. Now that you have done that, let's just ride on. So on my back pattern now, I just went ahead to impute my measurement. Remember that my bust is 40 divided by 4, which is 10. So I just went ahead to impute that on my bust point line. And remember that on my waistline, I am now working with 7.5 inches. That is exactly the same thing that I put on my waist. I did not add anything, and I did not minus anything. Remember that we minus 5 inches from our waist, and we are now working with 30 from the 35. So, and that divided by 4 is 7.5 inches. That 7.5 inches is what I marked on the waist of my back pattern. And then I came down by that same 1/4 of an inch on my bust point. I first did my nipple to nipple divided by 4, which is divided by 2, which is 4, and I marked that down, and then I came down by 1/4 of an inch for my bust point dart. Then for my eyelet, I took out about 1.5 inches, which is a total of 3 inches. You know that place that is open at the back. I took out 1.5 inches. This is because I already minus some things from the waist, and my client as well does not want her back to be very open. So that is exactly why I took out 1.5 inches. So what I took out from my back opening is a total of 3 inches. So for you, you can decide to do 2. You can decide to do 2.5 if you want it to be very, very open. And remember that we also took out 5 inches already from the waist, so that is why I also don't want to come in very much so that it is not too open. So now that all that is said and done, let's just continue. So for my back neckline, I did 3.5 inches as well, and then I came down by 1. That place that I came down by 1 as well, I also came down by another 1. This is because I would like to put a button at the back of my back yoke, and you can see what I have by now. Even if you don't understand what I'm saying, just focus on the pattern paper and you'll see everything that I am saying. It is just right there. So at this point, I now went ahead to take my armhole dart, my armhole curve as well. Then on the front part, remember that I came up by 1.5 inches on my hips, so I am also going to do the same thing on the back of my back pattern. And then I am going to open up the bust point dart as well, and I'm now going to go ahead and close it. But now there's something I would really like to say, even off this pattern. One thing is that the longer your corset is, the more difficult it is going to be for your clients. I hope you understand this thing. For the front length of this corset is about 24 inches, but on the side it should be around 22 or 22 and a half. The more your corset is extends down to your hip line, the more uncomfortable you or your client is going to be. So I will advise that when you are making corsets, make sure it is between 22 to 24 inches. Any corset that is more than this will already be so uncomfortable for your clients. Even this corset, I think I'm still going to reduce it a little because my client specifically said she wants to be comfortable even though it is a corset. So I just needed you to know that it's like a tip. So do not make your corset pattern so long unless the person is not going to sit down. But if the person is going to sit down, please just make it between 22 to highest 24 inches. I hope that you understood that. So right now, let's move over to the front pattern. So under my bust point that I already came in by about ½ inch, I came down by 1 inch. Remember that this bra cup is going to be a 3-piece bra cup, and that is exactly what I am trying to construct now. So I am now going to come to the side part of my pattern paper, and I am going to come down by about 1.5 or 2. You can decide how many inches you want to come down with. On the center part, I came down by just 1, but on the side part, I came down by around 2. So you can see the way the cup is already taking shape. Like, this is really beautiful. On another note, I decided to add about 1/4 of an inch to it. So I came down by 1/4 on the side, just to achieve the particular cup shape that I want. I hope you were able to grab that. On that particular center part, I came up by about 1 inch. That particular nipple to nipple place, that place I have 4 inches. I came up by about 1 inch. That is how I curved it. Also remember that you can just do a freehand curve here. If you don't want to use any measurement, just do a freehand and draw your curve however you want it. This particular measurement that I did is totally optional. You can just curve it however you want it. So you can see the way I curved mine, and this is because I want this to be a 3-piece bra cup. So soulmate, I hope at this point you have liked this video. Please know that your like is an encouragement for me to put out new tutorials. And also, if you like the way this pattern drafting is done, please go ahead and comment more in the comments so that we know that you would like me to do tutorials more exactly the way I did this particular one. So now that I've cut that out, I am also going to go ahead and cut on that particular curve that I already did, and I'm going to tape parts together. This is because this is a 3-piece cup. Assuming it's a 2-piece bra cup, I'll just leave it exactly the same way it is, but I want it to be a 3-piece bra cup, so that's why I divided it. And I'm going to go ahead now, and you can decide to tape it together or gum it together, but for me, I didn't have a tape. So I just gummed it together at this point, and you can see what I have. So this is exactly what I'm going to cut on my pattern, and I'm going to be adding allowance when I'm doing this. You can see that that cup is so perfect and is already taking shape like this. And when we are going to do the sewing tutorial, I'm going to show you the exact allowance that you are going to add and how you are also going to cage the bust. So you can see the way that looks. Then for my client, there is a particular kind of neckline that she wants, and that is what I'm going to go ahead now to draft. I'll just put that on the screen so that you see the neckline. I really don't know the name of that neckline, but if you know, just tell us in the comments. So I was just using my curved ruler to know if I can achieve something like that. I just use my pencil to do that for now, but once I am done and I think I have something that I would like, I am now going to go ahead and use my marker to through it so that you see exactly what we have. And I'm going to slant that to my bust point line, because that is exactly the point where the yoke is going to meet the bra cup, and that is why I'm going to slant this to my bust point line, and then I'm going to cut that out as well. So at this point, I was already done with that. I'm just going to go ahead and through it with my marker so that you can see how it looks. So guys, in our next video, we are going to be cutting this out on our fabric, because what we are actually going to cut is much and I don't want this video to overwhelm anybody. So that is why I am taking it bit by bit. So see you in the next tutorial, and I hope you have subscribed because I have something good coming up. So guys, I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.